Yo, what's up guys? It's Yellowfin, and I've gotten a lot of requests and questions on how to do this, so I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my Top Drives custom cards. You might have seen them on my Instagram or used in YouTube thumbnails or in some of my custom updates on YouTube, and I've been making custom cards for quite a while now. So this video is basically going to show you how I make my custom cards and how you guys might be able to make your own custom cards too. So, first of all, what you want to start off with is looking up a type of card that you want to make and then finding all the specs for it. Because that's going to be basically the make or break point on if you can make your card, is finding a good picture for it that's high quality and is able to be flexible with the templates, and then also finding the specs for it. Because if you can't find like the 0 to 60 time or the top speed or any of like the important stats, it's going to be pretty tricky to make a card. That's why especially making motorsport cars or not very well known cars from like very niche brands is pretty tricky to make, and also finding pictures for them. But sometimes you gotta do a bit of estimating and also doing a bit of like finding similar cars with similar stats and then using those, or just guessing. But sometimes you're able to find really good articles or actual tested results from the cars, and so that's why MotorTrend, Car and Driver are two very good sources to use, because they actually use tested results from testing the cars there. Also using it from like the actual brand and what 0 to 60 they give you, or then there is a bunch of other just random tested results on other websites too, but that's usually where I find mine. So for this car, which I'm going to be making, the Subaru Impreza WRX STI, I found all my specs from on MotorTrend for this one. And so then what you're gonna want to do, why you need to know all your specs first, is because you want to know what rarity you want to make the car. Then when you know that and you find a great picture, you're able to start making your card. Okay, so next what you want to do now that you have the photo of your car is set the blur to 30. So what you're going to be using first is PicsArt. That's the app where I use all my editing, since I make all my cards on mobile. So if you want to make your cards on PC, I actually don't know how to do that. There's probably other videos on how to do that. But if you want to make mobile cards, this is the video for you. So first what you want to do is set your blur. You go to Effects on PicsArt and set the blur to 30. Then when you have the blur at 30, what you want to do is then erase it using the square tool. And you want to erase it around the picture of the car for the placement that you want to have. So it does take a couple tries and a lot of practice to get the placement just right, because you do want to have a good placement for your car, but eventually you will be able to figure it out. Okay, so now next up we're going to be moving into the templates part. So I'm pretty sure most of you guys might not know how to get a template. I do have templates that I use. There's also a bunch of Discord servers that you can use, or just ask around other Top Drives cards creators. If you want to use my template, you can just DM me on Instagram at Yellowfin99, and I will be gladly to send you the templates that I use. So let's get into the next step now. Now what you want to do is grab your template for the car and place it around the card for your placement. Now you will have to check your placement a couple times with what you did with the blur, but eventually you'll be able to get it right. Then what you want to do is crop the card to make it to the card shape. So you just want to basically crop out the edges that aren't being used by the photo, and then press apply. So that's a pretty simple step. And then next what you want to do is find the logo. So you just go to stickers, search up the brand, and then usually most of the time, unless you're doing a very niche brand, there will be a very high quality sticker of it. And then you want to make it to the size of the little corner box where the logo usually is. So sometimes you gotta check it a bit, like it depends on your card making style. Like if you like the logo to be very small, some creators like to do that. Others like to make the logo really big, like me. I like to have it centered and pretty large so you're able to see it very well. And that's basically what you gotta do then, and then you apply the sticker. So that's basically the PicsArt step. So next what you wanna do is you wanna have this app downloaded called Phonto. It is basically a photo editing app where you can use like text and fonts and stuff, and you're going to want to download two fonts. There's Roboto Condensed Bold and Roboto Condensed. So they're free on Google, or just online, just look up free font downloader and then those two names, and you'll be able to find one, and then you just got to go like to your files and just copy it to the app. It's pretty simple, and it's also pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions you can just comment it down below and I'd be happy to help. So now that you've done all that, you want to grab your photo, put it into Phonto, and you're going to start now working on your specs. So since you know all the specs, you basically just put them in the areas since you looked them up previously, and you just got to line them up with the areas. Like you want to use what I usually do is I use the 4WD, or not the 4WD, I guess right now it's 4WD, but the WD part in Drive to find the exact font size that I'm going to use. And you want to use Roboto Condensed Bold for this area, and then Roboto Condensed is for the other areas where the font looks different. But you'll be able to see it. They're not like super similar fonts, so you'll be able to know where. You can also then go back to Top Drives and reference like what size you want to make. But then you want to line them up how you want to line them up. For some creators it's different. I like to line it up with the last letter on the very edge, and that's where you basically want to put in your specs then. And so basically handling, you just want to more look at like what the car's sort of competition is and what handling it would have. You can also use skid pads and stuff like that, but that's basically all you got to do then for that part, and you just put in the specs basically. Then what you want to do is go into Top Drives, and you want to find cars with similar stats so you can figure out what the RQ would be. So after looking through that, I was able to find a couple Land Evos that have similar stats, and I made it RQ76, which seems the most balanced for it. That's basically what you do for RQ. Then you just want to move it into the area and put it there. Pretty simple. So far nothing has been too tricky. It's a pretty easy process, just takes a bit of practice. Next, what you want to do is work on the title. First, you start off with Roboto Condensed Bold. That's for the title name of the car manufacturer. And then for like the other name for the car, that will be in Roboto Condensed, which is a smaller font, which you'll see being used right now. So you type in Impreza WRX STI, that's what I'm doing for this one. And then you want to press the font button and switch to your other font. Then I usually make it like one size less, just so it sort of fits a bit better. That's just how I like it. Other creators might make it bigger or the same exact size. It all just depends on your personal preference, which you will learn as you make more cards on and on. Also, I like to make my text very large too. I just feel like it looks better and gives it a bit more space. Then you want to make the year, which is also Roboto Condensed. As you can see, it's a thinner font. And you also want to line it up based on the size that you like to make your cards. It all just depends on personal preference. That's really what card making is. There isn't a specific way you're supposed to make it unless you like work at Hutch. But I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, you probably aren't working at Hutch and looking for my help on how to make a Top Drives custom card. And then you want to move on to the year, which is Roboto Condensed Bold. Make it the size you want it to be. I did screw up the year a bit with this custom card. I made it a bit too far to the left and also a bit too big. But you'll make mistakes occasionally. Even I make a couple of mistakes with my cards, using the wrong information, putting the wrong picture of the card, or just messing up my placement of the words. But yeah, I made the Japanese abbreviation a bit too large, and I also have it a bit too far to the left. But you can always just change it. I just closed out of the app too quickly. Then you want to get the tires for what you use. I used performance tires. Well, it has performance tires, but you use Roboto Condensed then because it's smaller, and you want to line it up with the size of the word tires. So what you do basically is you move it over to the tire word. It takes quite a bit because the arrows, it's made for very precise movements. But then you want to line it up with the exact size. You just check it to see what is lined up with the T, and then you want to move it over to about this area. You'll see where I move it to after I get the sizes right. So you want to have it about like this close. You can always also just go back to Top Drives cards and look at what they look like, and just to see, use it for reference. You always want to use reference because you don't want to miss something. But that's basically it. You just save the image, and you've made your first Top Drives custom card, or your second, or your third, or your 100th. But it's basically just how I make my Top Drives custom cards. It'll help you make your Top Drives custom cards if you wanted to learn, because I'm assuming that's probably why you're watching this video. And that's basically it for this video. So just put in the comment section any questions you have. You can also just DM me on Instagram. Also, if you want the templates that I use, you can DM me on Instagram and I'll be happy to give them to you. Or there's also a ton of Discord servers, or just a bunch of other Top Drives creators and card creators that you can just ask as well. But just feel free to ask any questions and I'd be happy to help. That basically concludes it for this video. If you like this type of content, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that cool stuff. I'm Yellowfin. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.